Hello, beautiful people. Hello, Jordan.
What's up, Madison?
You do it the same every time. It cracks me up.
How you doing?
How you doing? I'm good. I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted. School be schooling
January's
me.
a long month. Long month.
January's a really freaking long month. I'm thankfully not dealing with the extreme cold and stuff that you guys have had or insane amounts of snow. We got a little bit. It was a little bit icy yesterday. And 2 weeks ago, it was 14 degrees. But other than that, it's been pretty good here.
Yeah, we in the mid-30s this week, reading 40s next week. National Weather Service, Sioux Falls, said we should only have about an inch of snow on the ground left by the 1st of February. So, but Mother Nature, come March, right before the Summer League tournament, she's going to remind us all, I'm in charge.
He's going to screw with us all. I know. It's crazy. We have a lot to get into. First of all, though, I just saw on Twitter, I don't remember the guy's name, but former UND women's basketball coach who's now at Chadron State. Did you see this? He called a timeout with 3 minutes and 22 seconds left.
He was former UND coach.
Okay, so he called a timeout with 3 minutes and 22 seconds left in their game against whoever the heck. 3 minutes and 22 seconds left in the third quarter. My bad. And then they just walked off the court. They just forfeited. Yeah.
Were they losing bad?
Because I don't know. I didn't see I just briefly saw someone put it in our group chat. And I briefly saw it on Twitter. But because because 3 full quarters were not completed, there's no stats for the game.
It finished 2-0, didn't it?
Yeah.
It was a forfeit. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so the only excuse or reasoning, so to speak, that anyone has found is, I guess in one of the articles, he said, this is a really long road trip and I have to take everything into consideration when it comes to player safety. So to me, something else, I don't I do like to speculate. I don't like to speculate in this position on the podcast. But something's going on.
Speculation's so
he
hard,
games,
right?
And I think they find what'd you say?
As speculation's so hard, not to be irrelevant with the NBA here, but Milwaukee Bucks fired their head coach, and tonight the Bucks players are dancing around like it was yes, we finally he's gone, and everyone was like, why would they do that? It's a stupid choice. It's did you ask the players? Do you, maybe there was an internal issue that they went to the GM and were like, he's got to go. So it's tough to speculate.
Just like Aaron Rodgers tanking to fire Mike McCarthy.
Fair.
Yeah. So I don't know. They fined them or him, I guess, $5,000, suspended him for 3 games. So that happened.
Ew.
Other than that, Summit League stuff. Apparently, we lost all of our viewers with that. Me talking about that. Lovely. Where should we start? Let's start with last Thursday.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's start there. So NDSU gets how many points is that? 21-point win over Denver. That game was close-ish for a while. If you ask Brandon Geffrey in our group chat, he was so I had said, I don't think the final score, the box score reflects how the game went. I felt Denver was in it a lot more than it looks like they were. And Brandon was I don't know, I never really felt like NDSU was going to lose, which I feel is valid, but he also has green and gold glasses on. So,
I'm wondering if it was one of those games, though, where NDSU, had control. Denver was just kind of hanging around, but you always felt, you felt like the game should be like a football game, where it should be 21-3, but it's 17-10 right now. It's really close, and then clearly NDSU pulled away in the 4th with the 28-12 scoring margin there.
Yeah, I won't disagree with that. Elle Evans comes up big, 22 points, 10 rebounds. Love that for her. Heaven Hamling, 15 points and 6 rebounds. I'm not sure if it was that game or the Saturday game. I think it might have been the Saturday game, but in one of them, she Did she become the leading scorer? I think she became the leading scorer in NDSU history, or maybe in the D1 era, maybe in history. I might have to pull up Twitter to find it. I think she has like 1,562 points or something when she, at the moment that she crossed that threshold. I get so annoyed when my Wi-Fi doesn't work when I need it to.
Upgrade to that. We have a certain cell phone carrier's Wi-Fi, and it's been way better than the one we had before.
What you had before?
Yeah. A local telecom company.
God, how many times have they tweeted since Saturday?
Summit League or?
No, NDSU. It must have been Thursday that she did it because it's not in any of their Saturday tweets. I just want to get it right. Okay, so I found the tweet, but the picture's not loading. Okay, most points in the Division I era, 9th most all-time in Bison history, 1,452.
Nice.
Kevin Handling. Claps and snaps. I also want to shout out, I believe Hannah Cooper hit 1,000 points in her career like a couple of weeks ago, and I didn't mention it on here. My bad. You're a queen. Congratulations, Hannah Cooper, as well. We're going to talk about ORU. We have lots to say about ORU. But to get back to NDSU and DU, Heaven Hamling had 15 points. Abby Schulte had 10. A few points off the bench for a couple of other girls as well. For DU, JoJo Jones had 18 points, 5 rebounds. Angie Robles had 12 points, and Emma Smith had 11 points and 6 rebounds. 9 points for Michaela Bennett. As we mentioned,
DU holding Denver to. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was going to wrap it up, so go ahead.
Oh, NDSU just crushed him in the paint, 46-24, almost doubling them up. Denver, I don't have the stats on me, but I thought they average shooting like 20, 25, maybe even more than that, threes a game. And NDSU held them to not too far off, but 6 of 19 from 3. So not quite as many as Denver gets, if I remember right. But yeah, they're
well, at the time, NDSU was at the top of the league with SDSU. Not that NDSU is not still at the top; they're just not in first anymore. But we will get to that. To move on to Omaha and SDSU, South Dakota State 92, Omaha 55. Paige Meyer had 18 points. Maddie Mathowitz 16. Maddie Vlastwin 12, and Brooklyn Meyer 11. And actually, Tori Nelson. Just kidding. Jenna Hopp also had 11. So, Mesa Biome had 11 rebounds. So, fairly good game for SDSU all around. Omaha has not been super strong this year. Hopefully that will change. As Carrie Banks said last week, she's looking forward to the turnaround there. And 13 turnovers for SDSU, which compared to how many they were turning over earlier in the season, I'm pretty happy with that. So, for Omaha,
I'm more disappointed in the's block party effort. Only 2 blocks on the game. Come on, SDSU. What is that?
And they could have had more. Aaliyah Stanley had 12 points. Cora Olson, 11 points, 5 rebounds. Kennedy Grant and Danae Watson had 9 points apiece. Danae Watson also added 5 rebounds. Omaha's next game was a little bit better than this one, but when you're going up against the powerhouse that is South Dakota State and you have not yet won in the league, that can go south very quickly. So,
well, it's another game SDSU shooting over 50%. So that's just, again, like we talked about last week, when they do that, you got to bring your A game and more.
1,000%. ORU UND fell off the wagon just a tad bit. After what we saw from them the week prior. I was going to say last week, but we're talking about last week. Casey Barovich, double-double, 19 points and 11 rebounds. Nakia Hurst, 18 points, 6 rebounds. She is really, coming into her own. She's going to be a threat, and she certainly helped them turn around. Kiera Pemberton also added 10 rebounds. For them, they turned the ball over. Are you ready for this, Jordan Decker? How many do you think? Are you looking at the stats?
I just pulled it up. It's what SDSU had, but flip the number.
31 times. 31 turnovers for
that'll do it.
UND. That'll do it. I don't care what you do for shooting the lights out. Yeah. So actually, let's jump down.
We won't name specific players, but there's a couple on there that I bet that they know they can play better than that.
Yeah, absolutely. ORU had 28 points off of turnovers. So, and what was the final score? 55-71.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a 16-point game. 28 points off turnovers.
Pretty even in the points in the paint. Field goals, pretty even. Both teams, yikes, with 3-point. Who's the top team here? And UND, 2 of 15. ORU, 4 of 22. Cold.
Yikers. Yeah. For Oral Roberts, Emily Robinson had 14 points. This is a name we have not said. I have an inkling that we will be saying this name frequently from now on. Talia Jones and Ruthie both had 10 points. Ruthie pulled a double-double with 13 boards as well. 42 rebounds for ORU overall. And Hannah Cooper was really the only one in foul trouble. Also, Jaylee Oglesby actually led ORU with 17 points. She wasn't at the top, so I didn't see it. But that is a name I think we're also going to hear more often. I hate that I have to reload this every time. Okay, Thursday, January 18th. This is the one that I'm so excited to talk about. St. Thomas found themselves in another buzzer beater situation, and this time they were on the wrong end of it. Whether or not the clock started on time, I don't really care. Tori DePerry is beast mode, and I'm obsessed with it.
Wait, you don't think it started on time?
The announcers were kind of speculating that. You couldn't really tell when they replayed it. It's like, did it?
Oh,
did
yeah. The announcers were great, but when they said, like, as they're playing it in like 10 times slow motion, like, oh, look at the clock didn't start. I'm like, yeah, because it's in slow motion. She's literally moved like that far. Like, it's not like the ball has a chip on it, right? Like, as soon as you touch, then it goes. Like, it's still.
That would be a good technology development.
I'm working on it. Like how footballs don't have, like how they don't have like a sensor when it gets past the line, right? Like we can have, anyways, but it would be cool.
Yeah.
No, it was good. Yeah. Good drop. That was done by assistant coach Mike Jewett. Beautiful. Yeah. Finished by Tori DePerry, and I believe Hempy threw the ball. But it was a big stop beforehand too to get the ball back by USD.
Mike Jewett's a traitor. Just kidding. I love Mike Jewett.
Oh yeah. But like I talked about last week, that was a win that USD needed, and especially going into a big game on Saturday, right? That's one that is going to hopefully help them later on with seeding. That's a seeding game in my eyes.
Absolutely.
But all around good game. It was a great game to watch, fun game to watch. USD just dialed it up in that fourth quarter. Looking at the stat line here, Kendall Holmes, 19 points on 7 of 14 shooting. Grace, productive night, 10 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals. Off the bench, Natalie Mazurek, 11 points, 7 rebounds. And, otherwise just some smaller contributions. Walker had 6 and 6. So, 43 rebounds to 26 over St. Thomas. That was, they out rebounded them by 17. Jade Hill, really quick, 17 points. Joe Langbin, 17. Amber Scalia, 11 and 4. So those 3 stepped up again for St. Thomas.
Yeah. And worth noting, the score was tied 4 times and the lead changed 11 times. So we're not exaggerating when we say that this game really was,
lived up to the hype. It was a great basketball game. St. Thomas only turned the ball over 9 times. They took care of the ball. USD. So it's just kind of been, obviously, as a fan of USD and then just watching their games, like a lot of their turnovers have just been like, yeah, what did you see there? What were we looking at there? But it's like what Coach Karia said, and I just listened to it with the Coyote Report. It's a young team in the aspect of they don't have a lot of chemistry playing together. There were some injuries last year. They're still trying to figure each other out. And a lot of the scores that USD's been a part of on the losing end, especially, the scores aren't indicative of how close some of those games have been or how competitive most of the game was. So they're still figuring it out. We'll get into rankings and the standings here in a bit, but good win.
Absolutely. Let's move on to Saturday. Oral Roberts takes down North Dakota State, hands them their first conference loss of this season. For NDSU, Elle Evans, 23 points. Heaven Hamling had 8 points. Avery Kunin, that's the other one, had 14 points, and Mirley Simon had 9. So some different names kind of contributing for NDSU. They turned the ball over 17 times, had 26 personal fouls. Abby Draper fouled out, Heaven Hamling fouled out, and Elle Evans and Abby Graham were pretty darn close to fouling out. So not sure if that's of note to you, but score was tied 9 times, lead changed 11 times. For ORU, 23 points for Ruthie and 8 rebounds, 15 points for Emily Robinson, also 3 assists for Emily Robinson and 3 steals. 14 points for Talia Jones, 11 for Hannah Cooper, 4 points, 10 rebounds for Megan Weinrich, and also 4 steals for Megan Weinrich, and then 12 points, 6 rebounds for Jaylee Oglesby, who also fouled out. ORU played, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 girls, and every single one of them scored. So that is also potentially worth noting. 19 points off turnovers for ORU and 36 points in the paint. Another thing I wanted to just mention, ORU has not lost at home this year.
10-0 or 11-0?
10-0. Actually, I'm not sure. Hold on.
But while you're finding that, Madison, really quick, like if you look at ORU's attendance too, I mean, it's very indicative of it's getting better. I mean, they had 1,300. They had 1,000 on Thursday, which is great for a Thursday. 1,300 on Saturday. It's what winning does, right? It puts cheeks in the seats, as they say. Cheeks in the seats. I didn't make that up.
Yeah, I'm super happy to see that. And you can ask my husband every time we turn on an ORU game. I'm so happy to not see. I mean, the Mabee Center is certainly not. It could be fuller. I think there should be more there. This is a really good team. However, I'm happy to actually see butts in the seats. It used to be, especially at the beginning of the season in the non-con, you turn on an ORU game, ORU women's game, and you could literally count the people. I mean, there was nobody. So 1,300 is good job. I hope that keeps growing for them because they certainly deserve it. Also worth noting, ORU. Oh, sorry.
Nope, sorry. You go ahead. I've interrupted you too many times.
This is my show, damn it. No, I'm kidding. No, we started the show together. ORU is leading the league in offense. That's all I was going to say.
No shocker there.
I mean, shouldn't be a surprise. Yeah. Go ahead.
For the ORU NDSU game, third quarter, that's the separator right there. I just had it, and now my page is loading. There we go. NDSU went 5 of 18, including 0 of 7 from 3. ORU shot 9 of 15. So there's the difference. The 4 field goals, 8 points, 19-11 in the third quarter. That's what ultimately did it in. It looks like it's pretty even with points in the paint. NDSU's bench scored quite a bit more, 31-17. But 9 times the game was tied, 11 lead changes. So that would be indicative of a pretty close game. But that third quarter is what did NDSU in from the looks of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on to Kansas City and Omaha. Omaha goes 0-2 on the weekend. Kansas City, in their only game, gets their first conference win of the season, 88-74 over the Mavs. For Omaha, Kennedy Grant, 21 points, 9 rebounds. Katie Kite, just 11 points. Aaliyah Stanley, 7 points. Cora Olson, that was the other one, had 13 points. And a name that we don't often say, sometimes we break out Polina Nikolichkina's name, but her sister Anna Nikolichkina, who I believe is the older one, had 9 points for the Mavs in this game. Better performance for Omaha, a bit more together. This game was, I won't say super close, but competitive. 29-22 Kansas City after the first quarter. Omaha added 16 in the second quarter, 21 in the third, and then got outscored 26-15 in the fourth. Kansas City kind of just ran away with it in those final 10 minutes. But Omaha certainly looks to be getting closer to where we would like them. For Kansas City, Dom Phillips is the story. Dom Phillips is her. I've been saying that. I will continue to say that. 23 points and 8 rebounds for her. Elena Contreras contributed 15 points and 8 assists for the Roos, and also 3 steals. Nariah Simmons, 14 points, 5 steals. Almost fouled out, but did not. She was the only one that was kind of in foul trouble for them. That was the thing for Omaha, too. I think, let's see, Kennedy Grant had 4 fouls. Katie Kite just had 4 fouls. Leah Stanley had 4. Danae Watson fouled out with 5. So they were in a bit more foul trouble than Kansas City was.
Mm-hmm.
11 points for Tamia Ugas as well. So 4 double-digit scores for Kansas City on the day.
That was a good one for Kansas City. I noticed, so it was Omaha last week, right? Grace didn't play in the Thursday or Saturday game a couple weeks ago. Was it Thursday?
Correct. And she did. I was going to bring that up. She did play. She did play in this game. I want to say she had like 34 minutes. So she wasn't.
She came off
34
the
minutes. Yeah, she wasn't super limited. She did have 13 points for them and 7 rebounds. It was a quiet 13 and 7, though, for me. I didn't really feel like they were saying her name a lot, but I'm happy to see her healthy and thriving. Anyway, continue. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. These are 2 teams that, they might not be in the top of the standings, but it's good ball clubs, and that's a good win for Kansas City, for sure.
Absolutely. Let us move on. I'm going to skip down to the Interstate Series, which should be called the Showdown Series because that's cooler.
I don't miss those ugly orange T-shirts, though.
Dude, those were bad.
Whoever decided that. I mean, it's red and blue.
But the sponsor was South Dakota Corn, and their color is actually what I'm wearing, the burnt orange.
Go that's like black with the orange. Then I don't know. That was especially with USD, like orange on red.
Yeah, it was wild. It was wild. 73-55. Oh no, absolutely not. 73-55 for the Jacks. For USD, 18 points, 5 rebounds for Grace Larkins. 8 points for Carly Duffney and 7 for Kendall Holmes. So the Jacks were able to keep the Yotes a bit quieter. The only double-digit scorer was Grace. Natalie Mazurek did grab 10 rebounds, though, for the Yotes. I don't want to say only 15 turnovers, but 15 turnovers to me, like I've said, some of the numbers we've seen, 25, 31, like 15 is, I'll take that from USD. What was I gonna? Oh yeah. So the score was tied one time and the lead changed only one time. So USD won the first quarter. I don't remember what that score was. Let me find it. 21-14. Yeah, 21-14 after the first. And then the Jacks outscored USD 22-7 in the second quarter. Allegedly, according to Matt Zimmer, who was very near the bench when he was taking pictures, he tweeted, I believe sometime in the third quarter, that AJ said to the girls, "You're not playing hard enough." So apparently that lit a fire under their ass and brought us to the final score that we saw.
And it did look like it too, like for both teams. USD,
I agree,
looked like, and then I found out tonight, this is what Coach Karius has said too, they looked like they were on a high roller coaster coming off St. Thomas. They were high energy. They were shooting it well. They like the body language, the chemistry. It was like, all right. And you could hear it or lack thereof on TV, how quiet Frost Arena got, which is odd because normally the building, you can knock the air out of the building, but then State usually will hit a shot, get the crowd back into it. That did not happen in the first quarter. It was punch after punch after punch from USD. And then they just went cold. The shooting, give me one sec here, in the second, third, and fourth quarter, they win a combined 3 of 16 from 3 after starting 5 of 11. I don't want this to sound like a scapegoat or excuse, but I think for this USD squad, whoever this Saturday game was against, losing like this was a good loss, I think. And it, of course, happens against SDSU and Brookings. But personally, I think this is a good loss because you ride this high, right? Like it's a great buzzer beater win on the road. Then you come into the most hostile environment in the Summit League and you come out punching. You're kind of going with it. And all of a sudden you go cold. It not humbles you per se, but you know what I mean? Like it's like a wake up call. Like, okay, if we want to be the best in the league, it's a reminder, right? Like if we want to be the best with SDSU and Oral Roberts this year, we got to give it 4 quarters. We got to stay focused. We got to get good shots. And SDSU's defense stepped up again. I think they're first in the league by it's a few points in defensively. But their average, their defense is averaging like 52, 53 points a game. USD was well on its way to scoring mid-60s to mid-70s. And what happens? State holds them to that mid-50s range. So it was a phenomenal defensive effort by SDSU, but USD was getting the shots. But after that first quarter, it was like a different tune. I don't think, personally, both teams, I don't think they played their best ball that game either, State or USD.
I don't disagree. SDSU, like you said, is leading the league in defense. They allow 59.4, so they actually allow more than they allowed against USD, but I would not disagree with the statement that those few points that they didn't allow were USD being cold and not necessarily SDSU's defense being as top tier as it typically is. So before
and you look at the USD roster too, Madison is like Grace, of course, the leading scorer in this game, but there's player on there too, like Ambrosi, Kendall Holmes, Walker, and Tori DePerry. Tori DePerry had 0. She had 0 points. She shot 0 of 4 from the field. She only played 11 minutes, and she's a starter. So, and Natalie and Carly picked up those minutes. But again, this is a learning thing, right? Like this team is still trying to figure out which lineups go well, who plays well together. I hate creating excuses for losses, but I think this is a good loss for USD. We'll see. What is it, next weekend already? We got State U round 2 next Saturday.
I'll have to pull it up. I have stats up right now, but I can pull it up in a minute. I wanted to just make sure I shout out the SDSU as well. I haven't like read their stats yet. Tori Nelson had 15 points, Brooklyn Meyer with 13, Mesa Byam with 10 points and 8 rebounds, dangerously close to a double-double. Like you said, only 4 blocks for SDSU. Oh, I think they had 3 in the Omaha game, 4 in this game. 2 for Brooklyn, 1 for Tori, and 1 for Jenna Hopp. However, 6 players had at least 1 steal. So I feel like that is worth noting.
Do you still have it up? What was the points in the paint differential? Because I feel like it was a lot. Like USD did not have very much of a paint presence in this game.
Doubled. SDSU 28, USD 14.
And I still think that's pretty good for holding SDSU to 28. I wonder what their average is per game, because I feel like it's it's higher than that. But nonetheless, USD only having what they had, that's gotta be more. It's gotta be more.
Yeah. I think another thing, USD didn't like materialize or put to use the turnovers. SDSU turned the ball over 15 times and USD only scored 4 points off turnovers. So I think you have to take advantage of those opportunities. And those are times when the ball absolutely has to go into the buckets. Let's talk about this weekend. So tomorrow, St. Thomas goes to North Dakota State at 7. For me, this is, I won't necessarily say it's my game of the week. I know what my game of the week is. It's not this one. But if my game of the week wasn't my game of the week, it would be this one. NDSU only has 1 loss in the conference to Oral Roberts. We know that St. Thomas can play tough. St. Thomas beat Oral Roberts on a buzzer beater. They are Oral Roberts' only loss. So I think that even though their record doesn't look quite as pretty as everyone else's, and they're St. Thomas and people have their, D3 to D1 misconceptions. Like, if you don't think St. Thomas is good, I'm sorry, but you're wrong. I think that St. Thomas is going to push NDSU. However, this game is in the Shack in Fargo. So that environment obviously is not going to be in St. Thomas's favor, but anyone will tell you they'd rather play in front of an opposing crowd than no crowd or whatever. So this is a good opportunity for St. Thomas. That's my my shtick on that. But it's also a good opportunity for NDSU to get back in the win column too. So we'll see. Any thoughts for you on that one?
On Thursday's matchups?
Just for this first one, NDSU St. Thomas.
NDSU St. Thomas. Yeah, it's a good road test for St. Thomas. The winner of this game moves into, unless Oral Roberts loses, but the winner of this game moves into 3rd place with the tiebreaker. So for seeding, starting to get important. I lean NDSU in this one. I think they're playing really, really well right now. Let's see, winner, they've got 6 out of the last 10. And there's another one, Madison, undefeated at home. They're 7-0 at home this year. So yeah, I'm gonna go Bison.
Bison. All right, good to know. I didn't really make a prediction. I'm not going to though. Denver at USD. Oh, that's what we didn't talk about. Hold on, we have to go back. We did not talk about UND Denver because I wanted to talk about that one last. So UND came away with a 10-point win, 78-68. Did you watch this game or any of this game?
I did not.
Okay. First quarter, Denver 16, UND 10. Next quarter, I'm not going to do the math, but UND scored 17 points, Denver 14. UND has a monstrous third quarter, 31 points to Denver's 12. That's where DU got themselves in trouble. At the end of the game, so DU got a tech earlier in the game. A player got their 4th foul, got frustrated, kicked the ball into the stands, got a tech. She was done. That was in the third quarter. That's all fine and dandy. At the end of the game, we have a double tech. So there's no free throws. And then an unsportsmanlike conduct, like foul penalty. I don't know what we're calling it. It was a mildly confusing situation. This is all within like the last 45 seconds of the game. It wasn't pretty. That's all I'm going to say about it. Like, y'all can go back and watch it. It got a little chippy. And I can understand the frustration of teams on both sides. Like, Denver pretty much had this game in hand. Obviously, there was still a whole another half to play coming out of halftime and into the second half. But I get DU's frustration because I feel like they can win and they know they can win, and they just haven't been able to do that yet. And I also get UND's frustration after kind of letting DU back into the game. I mean, this game was it was not like the NDSU game. This was never out of DU's reach at all. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was wild. It was a little chippy. All within the last minute. Hopefully hopefully both teams have settled from that and we don't see any of that anymore. That's all I really have to say about it. But I did want to note that final score, 78-68 UND. So they did split last week. Anyways, now we can move on. We talked St. Thomas, NDSU. Let's talk Denver, USD. I think, so I just mentioned that Denver has not been in the win column in conference play. I think the way that USD shot on Saturday, coming off of that win and like being a little cold, I think this is Denver's opportunity to take a road win. That being said, the SCFC is one of the probably top 2 hostile environments in the Summit League. I don't know what the Shack is like in Fargo. I've never been there. But I do know that the Sanford Coyote Sports Center is pretty freaking wild. So I would put it in there up in the top 2. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's a good chance for Denver to come get a road win, get their first win, get their morale up. But we'll see. Do they only have, okay, so they're doing USD Omaha. See, the road trips are different this year.
Yeah.
They're a tad bit different because of the 9 teams and also because SDSU and ORU are playing on Sunday. We're going to get to that one last, but that's a CBS Sports game. And I suspect that it's on Sunday because it's a CBS Sports game. So SDSU is going to have an extra day in between their games, as will Oral Roberts. So ORU is going to go to Omaha and then SDSU. SDSU is going to go to Kansas City and then back home, and then Denver's going to go to USD and then Omaha. So it's different than it typically has been. That's probably worth noting.
It seems efficient as it can be, right?
Yeah.
As far as just sticking to one sport, we won't get into mirror schedules again, but
shut up, Mark Wentz.
From a travel perspective, it looks pretty efficient.
I don't disagree. What are your thoughts on USD?
Yeah, I think that it's definitely a trap game for USD, but after listening to Coach Karius post-game comments, the Coyote Report, I think that this team is going to be – I know this team is going to be fired up. They're going to be really focused, and to put it bluntly, I feel sorry for Denver having to be in the way of that. Unfortunate, they're the next team after the SDSU game.
In some ways, I don't disagree with that. Yeah. Okay. Noted.
I think we'll have a big game from Natalie Mazurek. I think this will be a huge game for her.
Okay. Next game up, ORU at Omaha. I'm not too concerned for ORU. I wish I could say different about Omaha right now. They're last in the league in defense. ORU's first in the league in offense. Omaha's allowing 84.6 and ORU's scoring 80.5. So knowing ORU's offense
Madison,
and knowing
where they're so wide open, though, they get so many looks. Like if ORU goes cold in that cold gym, Omaha could hang around.
I think they'll hang around for a half. And then I think Kelsey Music will go into the locker room and say whatever she needs to say, and it'll be over at the point that those words leave her mouth.
I mean, you think about it, right? Like if ORU outscores, I mean, this is just stupid math, but like if ORU wins each quarter by 6 points, it's a 24-point win. So if they win it by 2 possessions each quarter, it's on that borderline of being a blowout.
Yeah.
So I could see it being that where Omaha for a couple quarters is close. But we'll see.
I think it's going to depend. I think it's going to depend on if, Grace Cave gets healthier and is, I don't want to say more productive because I don't think that she wasn't productive last game. I think it was a quiet 13 for her. If Omaha could utilize Morgan Gardner a little bit more, I mean, she's in there, but she seems to be pretty quiet in the stat line. So I'd like to see her get a little bit more active, but we'll see what they can do. But I'm definitely going ORU. Mm-hmm. And then SDSU will head down to Kansas City. I think Kansas City is going to hang around for a little while. I don't know how long. They do have that transfer from Missouri State, Ifunaya. She hasn't been getting a crap ton of minutes or been super productive in those minutes, but I think that she's someone, even if she's not showing up in the stat line, she can be big defensively. So at one point she was like top 5 or top 8 in blocks in the league. I don't know if she still is, but that was a couple of weeks ago. Whenever I interviewed Jory like 3 weeks ago. So I think that she could add some size that SDSU hasn't seen anywhere else in the league up to this point, outside of Joe Langdon, maybe, from St. Thomas. So that'll make it interesting, but I still think SDSU will ultimately run away with it.
Yep. I agree. I think it's a big first and third quarter from SDSU that makes it the difference.
Agree. Moving to Saturdays. By the way, all those Thursday games are at 7 p.m. Central Time.
Love that.
Love that. They are all on the Summit League Network. The Omaha game is not listed as the Summit League Network, but it will be. It has been. None of theirs have been listed as that, but they have always been there.
They've been
if not, you can go to the Omaha website. So going to Saturday at 1 o'clock Central, St. Thomas up at the Betty in Grand Forks to play North Dakota. This for me is probably going to be a little bit dependent on Thursday, but I'm going St. Thomas. North Dakota's like issue per se, I hesitate to use that word, but North Dakota's inconsistency hasn't boded well for them in the past. And St. Thomas is a team that I think has been pretty consistent thus far in league play. The only real like game that didn't look like the other games was South Dakota State, and that was because it was South Dakota State. So I think St. Thomas probably takes this one from UND. Certainly if UND turns the ball over 31 times. However, St. Thomas has been known to turn the ball over quite a few times as well. So whoever can keep the ball in their hands, I think, is who wins that game.
I think this will be one of the closer games of the whole weekend. I think this one will be tight. I think it'll be low scoring. I think it'll be a lot of turnovers. So you're going St. Thomas. I guess I don't know. God, that's a coin flip. I don't want to pull the home team again, but I do think that UND can get back on track. They've only got one game. It's their only game. They'll have extra days off, days to practice. They'll have extra days to watch St. Thomas, especially against NDSU. And I think this is a good bounce back win for UND. Just to make the standings all congested at the top, because why not?
Why not? Kansas City USD. If USD beats Denver, then I think that the Kansas City game is a trap game. If USD loses to Denver, then there's nothing to trap.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. This is going to be a big home field advantage, home court advantage. USD's got their Native American Heritage Day, and that always gets a pretty large crowd to come in. There's some really cool activities that occur during that game, before, at halftime, and after. So it'll be a great environment. Like you said, too, is the SCSC, even if it only has like 900 people in it, when it's loud, it's like when there's runs and stuff, it's loud, and you're going, man, if only this place was half full, it'd be even more awesome. But it's cool. It's like it's a professional sporting event environment in there. But Saturday is going to be quite the atmosphere to be a part of. So I think USD is going to ride high after a Thursday win and pick up a win. I'm going to do the Lee Corso thing. I'll pick up the pen, but it's going to be close by a field goal.
I love Lee Corso. My little birthday buddy, Lee Corso. We have the same birthday.
Oh, nice.
Denver, Omaha. I never know what to do with these two. It doesn't matter what year, where they are in the standings. I never know what to do with these two.
Coin flip?
I just never know. Okay, I'll say this. See, but like you can say this for both teams. That's the sucky part. I was gonna say, like, for Denver, I have seen their frustration, and I've seen them be so egregiously close and just not be able to pull it off. I haven't seen Omaha be quite that close. I have not seen Omaha recover from like being down as well as DU has. I also think that DU, I mean, Omaha has a lot of names that have been there, so I guess this isn't a fair statement, but I was going to say, like, DU looks like they've played together more.
Yeah.
And DU's starting a couple of sophomores, and I know they have Emily Council and Michaela Minette. Emily Council is their true senior. Michaela Minette is, I think, a fifth year. But DU seems like they are more cohesive than Omaha. They just haven't been able to cross the hurdle. So I'm going to go DU, but I think it's going to be wild.
So if we pick DU, that means Omaha falls to 0-8 to start.
Yeah.
God.
But if we don't pick DU,
I know then they're tied.
If we don't pick DU, they fall to 0-8 too, don't they? No. They have a win. DU has a win.
DU's got 1-4, so they would fall to 1-5 or 2-5. Excuse me.
Not if we don't pick them.
What's that?
If we don't pick them, they would fall to 1-6.
1-6. Yeah.
Well, if we assume that they lose at USD.
Yes, and we don't want to assume, right?
And we what?
Just kidding. We do want to assume. That's why we're fans. That's why we have this. We assume.
Oh. I mean, I'm not going to assume. At least not for that game. I don't know.
That's fair.
I just think that Denver is so hungry. Like, you can see it. And sure, it's come out in ways that we don't want to see, like kicking a ball into the stands. But, like, you can tell that fire is there. You can tell that they know that they have it. They have the skill. They have the talent. They just haven't been able to weave it all together.
So Denver out and Omaha. Next two games, Denver after this weekend, excuse me. So February 1st, they have Kansas City at home, and then Oral Roberts at home. Omaha goes to St. Thomas and then has a game against North Dakota in Omaha. That doesn't get any easier for Omaha.
It doesn't get any easier for Denver.
No, I know, but this is a must win. This is like the must win for Omaha for that. See, I guess the 8-9 matchup on Friday doesn't really matter if you're 8 or 9, does it?
No.
So
no.
Denver.
You're going Denver?
Yeah, I'll go Denver.
I think it's a must win for Denver because, like, sure, they're at home. You can play the altitude card. Oral Roberts scores too many damn points. So does Kansas City. Like, those are two games that I don't think Denver is going to win based on what I saw from them last week. So I think this is a must win for Denver to get in the win column again before they have to deal with that.
And if Kansas City loses, right? Like if Kansas City loses to SDSU, depending on the Denver, Kansas City, South Dakota State games, right? Then Kansas City flips around to South Dakota. Denver's looking at jumping up. Let me pull it up here. 2-3 spots in the standings potentially.
Yeah.
So you're right. There's a lot here.
Of course I'm right. Just kidding. Okay. We need to talk about Sunday, January 28th. We do have Sunday basketball this week, or this whatever, I guess technically next week. We have Sunday basketball in Brookings, ORU at SDSU. That is in Brookings, right? Yeah.
Yes, right smack dab in the middle of the championship football games.
Yep, 3 p.m. Sunday, CBS Sports Network. This is a matchup you do not want to miss. I will say
this will be on in multi-view.
Yeah, throw it in the multi-view if you have that. If you have YouTube TV, you have to watch this game. You don't want to miss this game. ORU is the top offense in the league. They score 80.6 points per game, I think, or 80.5. SDSU is the number one defense in the league. Here's the thing, though. ORU, number one offense, number 8 defense, I think.
2.
Yeah, they allow 73. Huh?
Oh, I'm just I only look at conference stats. So they're number 2 defensively in conference.
Oh, okay. I was looking at all the stats.
Sorry, I'm weird. When conference play starts, that's all I look at.
That actually changes the game so much. So offensively, ORU is number 1, 81.5 points a game. SDSU number 3, 76.4 points a game. Defensively, SDSU is allowing 53.6 for the top spot, and ORU is second with 67.7. So the number 1 and number 1 offensive team is the number 2 defensive team, and the number 1 defensive team is the number 3 offensive team.
And they're 1 and 2 in in the margins. State's winning by an average of 22 points, or ORU's round up about 14. So it's going to be a great matchup. It's going to be a great matchup. There's not going to be a lot of turnovers. There's going to be good shooting. There's going to be great post play from both sides. I think this is a good matchup. Who would match up with is it Paige Meyer or Brooklyn Meyer, who's the post, who plays a lot of Brooklyn. Whoever's matched up against her, that's going to be fun to watch.
I wonder who is going to match up against her. Ruthie?
I would lean that way. I'd be curious though to see. I
wonder about Megan Weinrich.
If there's any press conference with ORU beforehand, just to kind of talk about the game to see how their matchups are going to
go. I'll have to look for that when we are done here tonight. I know they do like a weekly coaches show.
Okay.
Because they're always advertising Waldo's chicken, and I want it. That's the only reason I know about it. And because last year I would watch. I haven't been as good about it this year because I'm so busy. But last year I would watch coaches shows to like anyone who had one to hear what they had to say, so that I would be more educated in our interviews and not ask them something that they've answered 17 times. But it also it allowed for better questions, I think, when you go and watch those and then write your questions. But yeah. Also, we're 6 weeks out from the Summit League tournament.
That's insane.
Isn't that bonkers? January's such a long month, but also 1 week left of January, 4 weeks of February.
I'll tell you this. So when the USD guys had their game on CBS Sports Network, for state fans that can't go to Brookings for the game, tuning into this and hearing the March Madness music and then seeing your school logo come up, it's just let's go. Oh my gosh. It's I got to get my drink. I got to get my chips or whatever. And here we go, baby. March Madness music playing.
What are your go-to chips? What chips are you grabbing?
Nothing beats good old tortilla chips and salsa, but my go-to flavored chips are the Doritos sweet and spicy chili flavored purple bag.
Okay. Are you eating salsa with your tortilla chips, or are you just eating tortilla chips?
Oh, salsa. I'll do salsa, or we'll do Rotel, spicy Jimmy Dean sausage and Velveeta mixed in. Do a dip.
Okay, I was gonna say, I have a cheesy chili dip that is Velveeta, Rotel, chili starter, whatever.
It's a go-to for the Super Bowl.
Yeah. I like the lime tortilla chips. People think I'm psycho, but I think they're so good. The hint of lime, whatever, Tostitos. Oh my God, they're amazing. Because every once in a while you get that
have more drinks.
Yeah. Every once in a while you get that chip that has so much seasoning on it, and you're just looking at it and you're like, thank you, Jesus, for the opportunity to eat this chip. you know.
That's so true.
I just rewatched School of Rock last week, and honestly, that's a movie I could watch once a week for the rest of my life. It's that good. But I just thought of how he's thank you, God, for this opportunity to kick ass, or whatever he says. Hilarious.
That's what I say before I go into my job every day. I should print off that quote and like hang it in my office.
Hang it on the wall. Have you seen Talladega Nights?
Have I seen Talladega Nights? Yes.
I mean, okay, great. I asked someone that question last week and they said no. So there are people out there. But no, when I was teaching at Clemson, we had to do like a technology speech for the requirements, which was annoying. So it's like, how do you do a technology speech? So I came up with the idea of a social media speech, and I was like, do something that you would do for like a TikTok, like, take me on a dorm tour, like take me to your sorority meeting, like whatever it be. And so I was like, you can do like a get ready with me. So I had this guy in one of my classes do like a get ready with me, like for his morning. So he showed like waking up, brushing his teeth, making his breakfast, like walking to class or whatever. And I kid you not, this boy in my class starts his video. It was so funny. He goes, I wake up in the morning and I piss excellence. He comes to me and he's like, I hope that wasn't inappropriate. And I was like, not for me. Like, that was fantastic. It was great.
If you quote any Chris Farley, Adam Sandler, Will Ferrell, you all right with me?
It's fun. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Incredible. I love it. Okay, great. We're getting a little unhinged. Oh, we're getting more viewers now. Right when we hit the unhinged point.
We talked about Vince Vaughn and Will Ferrell. Here we go.
Vince Vaughn, The Internship. I love that movie so much. You seen that one? Vince Vaughn, Owen Wilson.
Oh yeah.
Intern to Google. And he's like talking about Barcelona. Yeah, that's a good one. I'm trying to think of another. Oh, I mean Step Brothers. Classic.
So my wife, she was like, I know when Step Brothers comes on. And I was like, what do you mean? And she goes, like, I can tell Step Brothers comes on before it even gets to the opening scene. And I went, okay. So I let it go by for months and months and months. And all of a sudden, like, it's on TV and I'm just flipping it on. And I think it just does like the first 2 notes of the intro music. And she comes running out like, Step Brothers is on.
Oh, God.
Like, how?
I love that so much. I love that. Where'd he go to medical school? And she like says whatever school. And then she's like, and then Johns Hopkins. He's like, I smoked pot with Johnny Hopkins. You don't know what Johnny Hopkins. Yeah, it was Johnny Hopkins and Sloan Kettering. And we were blazing that shit up all day.
You're sweating. I was watching Cops. I know you touched my drum set because Cops doesn't come on until 4. Did you touch my drum set?
Oh my gosh. I can't go this way. Remember that scene? I can't go down this way. It's 4:15. Because of all the kids.
You lick that dog shit.
Oh my God, we're getting out of hand.
They're in tuxedos. Okay. And then John C. Reilly's like, I can taste that. Onions, the tuxedos seem kind of effed up, come to think of it.
I just can't. Oh my gosh. Also, like the cameos in that movie, like Ken Jeong, I just forget that he's in that for a hot minute. Or Seth Rogen.
Like Kevin Hart. That's like Kevin Hart and 40-Year-Old Virgin. Like, I forgot he made a cameo in that.
Yeah, it's wild. Okay. 59 minutes, 38 seconds. We're doing pretty good. I'm determined to be out in an hour, and we have 18 seconds left. So watch some League basketball. Don't forget about the CBS Sports game. Tweet at us if you have something you want us to talk about or someone that you want on the show, and go to the Summer League tournament. 5 seconds.
Sports student athletes. Go to the games.
Sports student athletes. Okay, bye.